Let's go behind the mask.
What up, what up? We back in the house. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today, and it's only off of one subject. Yes, Cam Newton. He has finally gotten his job, the job that he deserves. And I quite frankly, I believe his position where he's landing at right now in Foxborough is a perfect place, in particular at this point in his career. But before I even go all into it, let me bring on my sidekick, my co-host, better known as
your favorite plus-size model, Tutan Reyes, in the building. What's good, brother?
Listen, man, we got a lot to talk about today, my brother.
Yeah, man. About time.
It's about time we see good old Cam Newton. He's finally off the block, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, much needed for him. I think the NFL was waiting. You know what I mean? One of the premier quarterbacks in his tenure since he's been in the game. Everybody's wondering why hasn't Cam Newton signed yet, but finally went with a winner in the Patriots. I think it's a good fit for him. We'll get into that in a little bit.
Oh, absolutely, man. And when you look at his resume, it's crazy because 4 or 5 years ago, this guy was the MVP of the National Football League. You know, repeat offender when it comes to making the Pro Bowl, all pro. Now he finally meets up with 6-time Super Bowl head coach Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. And it's just a lot of things that we need to highlight. So a lot of the things that really came to my mind in the beginning was we look at Cam, big personality. He shines bright. He comes into the room. His enthusiasm is infectious. Everybody wants a piece of it. All of the kids, when he score a touchdown, and know that they are anticipating being able to get the football in New England the same way that they did when he was in Carolina. With knowing that, sometimes people had a big problem with Cam if his enthusiasm wasn't through the roof, and then they felt like, you know what, his body mannerisms spoke differently. And so, you know, when you look at this, I guess the first question is, because a lot of people pose this to me, which I thought it was an excellent question. Bottom line, do you think Cam and the Patriot way will be able to coexist with each other?
Man, me personally, I think he almost don't have a choice at this point. You know what I mean? Meaning that if you have an opportunity to go to a successful franchise like the New England Patriots, we as former players, we hated going against the Patriots because somehow they always find a way to win. But at the same time, if from all the guys that we've spoken to that have played for the Patriots, they loved it because of that culture. So if Cam has an opportunity now, instantly going into the AFC, you know they're going to compete because Belichick, he just doesn't drop the ball when it comes to getting his teams ready to play. And you have a talent like Cam Newton. It's like, why would you not buy into that culture? You know what I'm saying? I think the difference is Cam does have this polarizing personality, but when you go to a team that's a winner, you can adjust your personality. As a veteran, you can adjust your personality to fit with the culture of a team if you know you got a shot at winning and getting to that Super Bowl. So I think, like, why would Cam not do that? You know what I'm saying? I think that would be selfish, which some people have said he was over the years. But, you know him personally. I've met him before. I've seen his play. I don't think he's a selfish quarterback. Sometimes I think he may be misunderstood, but I think his personality, he'll adjust it to make sure that he fits in and does what he has to do to win with the Patriots.
I personally think he will also adjust, but I think what we're about to see is the new Cam Newton. And this is just looking at it from the big grand picture of things. You look at his departure. At first, a lot of people thought, you know what, he may be in limbo. He may have an opportunity to stay in Carolina with Coach Rule coming in from Baylor. But then you look at, he was released. And as we continue to see so many other quarterbacks, or just other quarterbacks in general, start to fill other rosters. And then you look around and you see, you know what? There's no more starting spots, glaring starting spots that are up for grabs. When you look at Cam Newton as a free agent, now where can he be placed? I personally thought, and you and I talked about it a few months ago, I thought that he definitely will be a great fit when you look at what they have going on before they signed Phillip Rivers in Indy when they were in the market for a quarterback. then I also said, you know what, as crazy as this may sound, he could end up in New England. And, you know, so when I look at them being able to coexist, I'm just talking about, yes, they will be able to coexist. I think that's something that's it's really no question. To your point, he really doesn't have a choice. But this is the reason why I feel like they'll be able to coexist, is simply because Cam has had an opportunity now to be out on the street. He has become a victim of being a free agent. And the longer that you wait, the more money or the lack of money is not there to be able to be allocated towards you and your talent, regardless of how good that you think you are. Most good players become a victim of it. You were a victim of it at one point in time. I was a victim of it at one point in time. And you have to be the thing. What I really like about this is that most times you go to a team that really sucked, and now you're part of the rebuilding process, in which a lot of people look at this opportunity in New England. Do you really look at it as a rebuilding process when Tom Brady left? I think now when you see Cam Newton comes to the table, it's not rebuilding, it's reloading.
Right.
And granted, people say, well, if he's healthy, well, he's past the physical already. And so now for me, I'm beyond like if he's healthy. I'm looking at it more so from the aspect of, okay, since Cam is healthy, what can he do to be able to provide a spark for their offense? You know, what are some of the things that he's going to bring to the table for their offense that they have done differently with Tom Brady at the pass? As an offensive lineman, you've blocked for several quarterbacks, and everybody has a different type of talent. You know, so when you look at this offensive move and you look at what Cam Newton has had success in the past compared to what they have been able to run with Tom Brady, how do you see it up just from an offensive perspective?
I think the dope part about it is, one, we follow Cam on social media, so we've seen in this period, you talked about it, this free agency period, we've seen a hungry Cam Newton. He's posting his workouts. Never saw him do that in the past. He's posting him hooping with other players, throwing Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown, you know, top receivers in the league. So he's showing that, you know what, I still have this talent that people might have thought I lost because I was injured the last season. So one, we're getting a healthy Cam Newton in New England, right? I said on top of that, his game, I believe it fits because he doesn't have to be Cam Newton from the MVP season throwing the ball 60 yards down the field. That's not the way the Patriots do things. They have their speedy slot receivers over the years. Look who they've had. Julian Edelman, who's there now. Amendola, Wes Welker, you know, Brown. They have people in the slot that they actually take the catches, those quick little 10-yard hitches, 10-yard ends, make people miss in space, and then take it to the house or get huge chunks of yards. That's how Brady really made his bones. He hasn't had a straight-up receiver that can streak down the field since Randy Moss was there when they broke all those records a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? So Cam Newton doesn't have to have that strong cannon that he had when he first got into the league. All he has to do is be accurate, get the ball to those receivers in the space, and let the receivers make those plays. You got N'Keal Harry, a young receiver, got injured last year. He's a go-getter. So if he has to get the ball down the field, you got somebody on the outside that can do it, and you open up everything in the middle. So I think the offense fits Cam. He doesn't have to do but so much. But if he needs to run the ball to extend the play, we all know he can do that with the best of them, and you know, when he's healthy. And the Patriots are doing something we haven't seen them do in a long time, which is run the ball. Rushed for like 1,700 yards last year. So you got to respect their run game as well. If Cam starts to do that run pass option, Josh McDaniels, you know, he's a guru up there. I think that is a perfect marriage right now for where Cam is at in his career, because he doesn't have to do but so much, because you have an offensive guru in McDaniels, you have a head coach guru in Belichick that are going to be on the same page with Cam Newton and help use his assets, what he's good at this point in his career, and help him excel. They've done it the last freaking 20 years, man. So why would we think it's going to stop right now?
No, I agree with you, bro. And to even take a deeper look at it, you look at when Josh McDaniels was the head coach for the Denver Broncos. And that was, I would like to say, the rebirth of like the RPO in the National Football League when he had Tim Tebow. And so, no, I'm not saying they are the similar type talent. We all know that. But I just think being able to implement some of the same things that Coach Schuler, the offensive coordinator, ran when Cam was at Carolina. I think those are some of the things from a defensive perspective. And one of the things that you hate when you take into account of, okay, how do we stop Cam Newton? I played against him his second year in the league. And the main thing, what really gave us problems is when you have these RPOs and you have these design quarterback runs to where regardless of what, you have to be in the perfect defense to have the right amount of defenders to be able to take on, because they can block it up in so many ways that Cam Newton is the guy who's carrying the football. And if every guy gets their block, which is highly probable, is going to allow a lot of creases and big chunk yardage plays. And so another thing I also look at too is like what I haven't heard anybody really talk about is when I look at this perfect fit right now for Cam Newton with the New England Patriots, he's now about to take another step into becoming a smarter football player in game time situations. Now, we as players, we reference this as, oh, you got to be great on situational football. Well, the thing I really appreciate about the Patriots is how can we minimize the risk and how can we maximize the risk by down and distance? How can we minimize and maximize off of field position? How can we minimize and maximize off of when we look at the score and we look at a point of where we are during the game, and we know that we had a top-rated defense last year in the National Football League. In the previous 3 years, they've been ranked in the top 5. And so when you see this and you combine everything, best believe not only Bill Belichick, but Josh McDaniels, they're going to be able to say, look, this is what you have on your side. This is what you know that you can count on. And so now instead of you feeling like you have to go out there and force plays, all we're asking you to do is we're not trying to handcuff you. You still can do what you do, but understand in the big grand scheme of things what we're doing, you don't have to take unnecessary risk. And so when you know that from the Patriots and understanding how they game plan, that right there alone is simply going to be able to allow him to be able to take the shots down the field, as you mentioned. He doesn't necessarily have to take it deep balls down the field, but if you're setting people up, depending on what they can't stop, which the Patriots do an outstanding job of game planning. That's the reason why the one caveat that I can truly say that's going to be able to make him that much better. Now, when you look at who they have in the backfield, well, not necessarily the backfield, but backup quarterbacks. When you look at Brian Hoyer, he has some NFL experience. Another War Eagle quarterback they drafted last year out of Auburn, Jarrett Stidham. So he's there. And so do I see Cam coming in saying, hey, he's the starter? Absolutely not. He's going to have to prove his worth again, which shouldn't be a problem since he's already healthy, number one. And then number two, to your point, when you have a person with such a big ego, Cam Newton, when you have guys who have been proven success track record, he understands, man, it took me this long to be able to get signed. And even though I know I'm taking a pay cut and they really getting my services for free, if you look at what he's been able to earn over the previous few years. So he understands, you know what? This could possibly be my last stop. And as a player, you understand I don't have any problem with being able to fit in with the Patriot way. But I think we're going to see a whole new, the bravado, the way that he walks, the way that he talks. He's still going to be swagged out. Best believe that. But I truly believe his mentality, just by looking at his video content, is why wait to do something tomorrow when I can do it today? And he's going to embrace that role. And I truly expect for him to be able to come out and make these big time plays, be a great teammate to the rest of his teammates in the locker room who don't know Cam.
Yeah. I think when you talk about the Patriot way, man, and you reference the money that he's gotten in free agency, the pennies on the dollar is heavily incentive laden. And everybody believes that, Cam Newton should have probably gotten more or signed earlier. But here's the thing with the Patriots. When have they ever really backed up the Brinks truck for any of their players.
Never.
Even the Pro Bowl players. You know what I'm saying?
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. You know what I mean? One of the best players, again, over the last 20 years in the NFL, but he's never really been the highest, as far as I can recall, been the highest paid quarterback in the league. And he's the GOAT, you know, all the rings and everything. So when have they really ever just, you know, said, okay, we're gonna make a huge free agent splash in terms of paying these players? Patriots just don't do that. But what they do is they get players to actually buy into the system and say, yo, if you come in and you do this, we're going to use your strengths to maximize, to be a sum of the parts, sum of the whole, to actually make us a better team, or in Cam's position, a better offense. Now, why would you think for some reason this would stop? Let's not forget, Tom Brady, yeah, he's a tremendous athlete, but he's played for 20 years, right? Who is really going to go out there and say, okay, we feared Tom Brady's arm or athletic ability at this point in his career? I don't know many players that have said that, but they still fear the offense that the Patriots put out there, because they know, like you said, such tremendous when it comes to game planning. You know, the Patriots always have an opportunity to win. Something's going to go their way because they're so smart. They're cerebral at this point. So for Cam, he doesn't have to do all the stuff he had to do, like you said, the first couple of years in Carolina. He didn't have to run and Superman dive over the end zone. They're not going to ask him to do all of that stuff. They're going to play to his strengths, whatever they are, when he gets into that offense. Yeah, he'll have to compete for a starting job, but, you know, Jarrett Stidham, he's been around for just, 2 years, going on his third year, I believe. Will he be ready? Remains to be seen. I think they signed Cam Newton to actually come in there and be the starter. So will it take some time for him to get acclimated to that scheme, the offense, et cetera? Of course. But what he has as the other quarterbacks don't have, coupled with the experience, is the athletic ability to be multifaceted when it comes to that offense. So I think that's what's going to set him apart from the other quarterbacks on that roster. That's why I think we'll see Cam have some success in New England this year. Assuming
he is the day one starter, what are the expectations for the Patriots? And so it's a twofold question. I even said, and you know me, now that I'm a fan of the game,
yeah,
I love what the Buffalo Bills have been able to do in the previous 2 years with Coach Sean McDermott.
Mm.
I thought they would seriously pre-Cam Newton with the Patriots. I thought they legitimately had a shot to be able to win a division. And I still do believe that. But I think now when you look at Cam being able to come in to that division, AFC East, it's going to change it up a little bit, but I still do think Buffalo has that opportunity. The expectation for the Patriots, I think, assuming if Cam is a day one starter, which he will have to work and be able to earn that spot, definitely a playoff football team, period. Because when you have the number one defense in football all of last year, over the previous 5 years, they've been a top 5 defense, number 2. And then you look at what he has as a supporting cast around him. You know, what I love about the Patriots, what people really don't, what I don't even know if they really get enough credit for, is the ability to be able to tell players what's going to come or what they are going to see before it actually happens on Sunday. And then when you see Sunday and you get in those game situations, it's just confirmation of what you were already knowing. And so when you see that as a player, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Man, I got the answers to the test. I'm about to give it to y'all today.
Facts.
And so when I see that value right there, that's what they've been doing since day one. And Coach Belichick puts a premium on that. And so as a quarterback, when you come in and you're able to use the process of elimination, and now he's going to take his game to another level by not only using the process of elimination of what they teach him, but by feeling the game flow and understanding how it's going to develop and how he's going to develop on the mental side. I really like it, bro. I really like it. And just even as a defensive player, like, how do you prepare for that? So they haven't been able to show anything. Best believe they're not going to show anything in the preseason if we are to have preseason games. And so I feel sorry when you look at the lineup for the first few teams. If he is the quarterback, now you're guessing, because notoriously they've been able to come out in 12 personnel. This is something that I really would like to see them use even more. 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And now you have the flexibility to use tight ends as slot wide receivers and to be able to get the defense off guard. And you get the numbers by that aspect. So, listen, man, it's a lot of stuff that they're able to do. I'm looking forward to seeing Cam Newton get back to the not only the Pro Bowl form, but consistency is key with him. So he'll be able to get his money up maybe in another year.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. We talked about we interviewed Trent Brown before. Remember, he was actually traded from the Niners to the Patriots 1 year, made the Super Bowl, then went to Oakland, broke the bank. So if Cam actually gets in this system, has some success, which we think he's going to have, that money's going to be there. Like, I think that's the worst, not the worst. That's the last thing he's worried about at this point. I think he's hungry because he wants to prove these naysayers wrong and let people know I still have a lot left in the tank. You know what I mean? If again, a Tom Brady could play 20 years and Cam is still a tremendous athlete, he can go in there and still do his thing and get a few more years out of this out of his career. So I think the future is bright, to say the least. You got a hungry quarterback, somebody with something to prove, going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He hadn't had to play with that chip on the shoulder for a while because he's been number one. Winning in Carolina over the last 9 years, has he really been challenged for a starting spot? Like, that hasn't happened. So now, like I know, Spice, if somebody gets drafted and at your position, you're like, shit, I got to go out there and do my thing now because, somebody's over my shoulder. You know what I mean? But Cam now, he's climbing his way back in and has to do his thing. So I'm looking forward to it. One thing, though, to your point, the Bills, I think they're poised for success. Young quarterback up there, ready to, get Josh Allen, ready to get them deeper into the playoffs. But do we really think the Patriots aren't going to make the playoffs now? Like, really? Like, you have Cam Newton there. They're going to find a way to get in the playoffs. They still got to compete in the AFC with Baltimore, with Lamar Jackson, with KC.
Yeah, Kansas
with Mahomes. So, the passing of the torch has actually happened when it comes to the quarterback position in the AFC. It's no longer just Tom Brady and who else, and Roethlisberger, you know what I'm saying? So the passing of the torch has happened. But I do believe that Cam will have the Patriots back in the playoffs. And then at that point, on only a few teams, with 6 teams there, you can't, it's difficult to gamble against Belichick and what they're able to do once they get in the playoffs. Like, we've seen it so many times over and over and over again. I don't care for the Patriots, but you got to respect them because they've knocked people out of the playoffs that you thought were going to win year in, year out. I don't see any different this time with Cam being at that quarterback.
Well, to give everybody a little perspective on it now, bro, like Belichick usually go after players who usually torch him or he wants them to come on their team. When you look at Cam Newton, he's one of the only few quarterbacks that have ever beat Bill Belichick in Foxborough. He's 2-0 against him. And then you look at going back, he had a 128 quarterback rating against the Patriots. And let me remind you and everybody else, to have a 128 QB rating against Bill Belichick's defense, who is known as one of the, if not the best guru of all time, one of the best gurus ever. And so when you look at that and you see the production that Cam was able to put out, even going back from the first game where he went 22 for 29, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, threw an interception though. But it's a primetime performer meeting up with a primetime coach. And now let's see who takes the AFC East. Yeah. I'll be sitting down ready watching, bro. So, and if it don't work out with Cam Newton, they got Jarrett Stidham.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So for me personally, I can't lose. I got 2 Auburn guys right there. You know what I'm saying? So War Damn and War Eagle, baby.
Here you go. So you gonna be a Patriots fan now? That's what you're telling me?
Absolutely not.
Nah, that's what I thought.
Settle down. You're going a little too calmate.
Tranquila.
Cheers,
I think the one thing that the Patriots will have to worry about is when, or if for whatever reason, halfway through the season you're looking at maybe 7 games and then they're 3-4, something like that. Then you're gonna start to wonder, okay, and Cam is at the starting. Then you're gonna have to start to worry about, okay, how do we adjust now? You know what I mean? Do we have to move on from Cam being a starter? Do we go with Jarrett Stidham now because he's gonna be a future? He's a young quarterback that's proven that he can, grasp the offense, etc. But if there's anything that they have to worry about, that a slow start, I think, is what it is. Because then, do you stick with a Cam Newton throughout the duration of the season on a 1-year deal? Are you going to give him another shot? You know what I'm saying? So is it win now, as you said, or is this a long-term investment? So I think that's what remains to be seen. And if anything, if there's any negative that may seep in, that's the one thing that I could say that's the uncertainty that I have when it comes to this signing. Yeah,
you're right. But when you look at what's going on inside of the division, they don't have any world beaters. And I'm just saying, to me, the only team that is probably the most stable and dominant is the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the Jets, I'm not scared. You look at the Dolphins, they still trying to figure it out, even though they had some success towards the end of the year. So, bottom line is this. I think it's a great opportunity for Cam Newton. People who are big fans of him, they're happy to see him off the board. And people who are part of the Patriots, they feel like, you know what, we're about to rip off another Super Bowl. So that remains to be seen. And we ain't gonna take too much more time on it because we just curious and we waiting to see what's happened next. Man, we appreciate y'all joining us for this Behind the Mask conversations. Stay tuned and we gonna keep it locked in.
Sure.